Welcome back to the Acoustic Shop channel. I am John, here with Jeremy today to talk about Furch guitars. Jared, that's what we're going to do.
Furch, yes we are.
All right, there we go. We're going to do that right after this. So yes, Jeremy, we're back once more, and we are talking about Furch
guitars. It's spelled Furch,
yeah,
but it's a Slovakian.
It's Czech.
It's a Czech word.
Yeah.
Furch.
That's right. Anyway,
Which
before
means
we get
fine guitar.
Is that what it means for reals? Before we get into all the finer points of this guitar, what we're going to do is tell you that there is a tone sample at the end of this, as well as
we played Mr. Bojangles.
Yeah,
on
we
that
did.
one.
You know, we had John McEwen in here and
Inspired us.
You know what? We should do some nitty gritty dirt band, and we did. Actually,
We only did the gritty part.
We did the gritty part. You know what my favorite version of that is? I like me some Sammy Davis Jr. That's what I like. He would dance it. He would actually dance the whole part. And
I remember Mr. Bojangles with the little.
There you go.
What's her name?
Little Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple. Yeah,
That's the one. You know, I only
Also
know
a
for
good
her for
drink.
drinks.
Anyway, we digress. If you want to skip all this fun banter, then shame on you. You're missing out. But we do have the tone samples in the description below, and also that link to that full song. But for the folks that are not real familiar with Furch guitars, we've been carrying them about 4 years, 5 years now.
Yeah, 3, 4 years now. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, great guitars. They do some stuff that is very innovative. They're kind of taking on, if you were to ask me, what is it that you think Furch is doing, which none of you are asking. But
I'm asking you right now,
anyway.
what do you think Furch's doing, John?
I would say they're kind of taking on a more boutique version of Taylor. And I know that you Taylor fans are going to beat me up for that, but it's kind of true. They take on a lot of the finer points of what Taylor does with a little bit more refinement and a little bit more...
A little bit of engineering involved as well.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's a boutique version of a Taylor style guitar. By that, what I mean is they're doing a lot of the same innovations, a lot of the automation of what Taylor does, and a lot of the same kind of finishes and those kind of overall things, but they're thinking of it a little bit more boutique-like, and think of the player that is normally buying a boutique guitar. So, a couple things that they do, and I brought this up before, is the CNR system, which is their carbon reinforced neck block, but it is still adjustable. So it's an adjustable truss rod, and then they add a little bit more mass into the neck block with that aluminum block section. It bolts on. It is a very stable connection to the guitar.
It helps to spread the sustain across the neck through the body of it.
Absolutely. So the other things they did, again, this is a more standard body shape. So this is an OM in their vintage series. This is a vintage 2, so this has their hand rubbed finish. Now, again, updates. As of the filming of this particular video, they originally used to do the vintage 1s, which are available in both mahogany and in rosewood, a little more stripped down version of this, were originally in this same hand rubbed finish. So it's kind of more of like a French polish type of finish. It's kind of a little muted, but it does have some shininess and a little bit of a build-up on it, unlike the satin finish, which is now the vintage 1 series. So no longer will you see the hand rubbed finish on the vintage 1. That was to the disappointment of some of the guys in the staff. I know Jackson and some of the folks in here that really loved that guitar. We're kind of a little bit bummed. It still sounds great. It's just different. This is that in between. We talk about satin finishes and gloss finishes all the time. I say this is that in between. It's almost like a varnish finish.
Yeah. It's almost what you end up with after a while with a satin finish, where you keep polishing it and you kind of get a little bit more shine to it. Except
it's got more buildup than a satin finish. I would say the satin finish that is on the vintage 1, it's like 3 or 4 coats. This has more coats, so there is actually a little bit of a buildup to it. And again, gives you that more defined sound and still stays soft. and more mellow than their full-on UV finish that they use. Again, they have their own voicing system, and it is a very open sounding guitar. I like the fact that they're extremely responsive. Yet again, a very modern take on a vintage sound guitar. We've had Jeremy Shepard in here, big fan of these, likes the vintage series as well as the standards. But this is kind of like, they kind of look at it as their take on a vintage guitar. Jeremy was talking to me about this week, and I agree, not this Jeremy, but the other Jeremy was saying, this is like, if a modern company didn't really understand a vintage build guitar and was just like going and reading the book on how to build a vintage guitar, it would be along there. It's got a lot of the character and the refinement of a vintage style guitar, but it's really done in more of a modern technique and modern build.
Yeah.
Again, does that make sense, Jeremy?
No, but I do agree that it is kind of that bridge in between like a really boutique guitar and kind of that traditional look and feel to it. Well, if I was setting this next to a brand, it would probably fit closest to that Taylor look and feel. The neck profile a little bit closer to Taylor.
Very much so. I would say if you are a Taylor fan, you will like this neck profile.
And I think Taylor was going for the electric guitar player that's used to that real thin neck, quick speed feel to the next lower action. Same idea with this. It's going for that electric guitar player that doesn't want the big beefy Martin or traditional even Eastman size neck. It's somewhere a little bit thinner, a little more comfortable. Obviously a little bit wider than the electric will still be, but somewhere that in between crossover.
I would agree. So they do the Vintage series in 3 different variations. They do it in a Vintage 1, we already said satin finish, available in mahogany and rosewood. The Vintage 2, which we have right here, which is just rosewood, hand rubbed finish, has the herringbone trim, Stika top, a little bit more ornate pattern, even though it stays real close to the diamonds. And then they have the Vintage 3, which is the full-on upgrade. Not all the way to like a 40 series type of upgrade, but it is a little bit fancier, a little bit nicer, more purfling, more binding. I think wood binding on it instead of
more showy.
Yeah, a little bit showier version. And for a lot of people, I think this is going to be the kind of in, the middle of the road. This gives you enough of the advantages, and yet doesn't have to be they're super fancy. Now again, you can only get this in a rosewood variation, whereas the Vintage 1, if you're looking for mahogany, you will get that there. Again, Stika spruce top, does have the abalone around the rosette, a little bit more inlay, and it is bound all the way around. I like these muted out gold brass
They look
color.
like they've been used a bit.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So again, another nice touch with the open gear tuners. I know there was discussion at Furch, should they be using a more modern tuner? But again, if you're going to go vintage, look vintage with an open gear tuner, and kind of keep that look. So again,
Hard shell case with this.
yeah, the Hiscox case, Hiscox case is those are actually really nice cases. Those in Europe travel with them a lot and almost treat them as a flight case.
Yeah.
They're
pretty heavy duty.
They're definitely a step up from your average case. So those come standard with these, and overall a great value. Furch has always been able to do that, get you a little bit more bang for your buck, especially in more of that modern guitar, price point. So there you go. A couple great options here from a Vintage to OM. I find it to be very comfortable and very good to play. So what we're going to do.
Let's hear what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys watching that video. It was my favorite one we've made so far. We've done hundreds of videos, and that was the best one.
It was.
And the next one's going to be even better. If you'd like to see that, be sure you subscribe to this channel. And also, the more you comment and interact below, the more the YouTube algorithms pick it up and start pushing it out to other people, like-minded people.
Algorithms?
Algorithms, they're everywhere. They permeate the internet, and YouTube's got one, and it watches our videos, and it sees how much you comment, and then it pushes us to other people like you. And we want everyone to experience the Acoustic Shop world, where we talk about instruments, we do reviews, we got some fun videos coming up. We thank you guys so much for being a part of it, and we'll see you in the next video.